The rain poured down like needles from the dark sky. Cold wind blew through the narrow streets of the alien market. Lights flickered, and muddy water ran like small rivers along the ground. She ran. Her name was Kira, a thin alien woman with deep green skin and glowing silver eyes. Her arms held a small boy, tightly her son, barely 6 years old. Weak and coughing from hunger, behind her, angry voices shouted, "Stop the thief!" Kira didn't look back. She ran faster, her bare feet slipping on the wet stone. Her son, Tareen, cried softly in her arms. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her heart breaking. "Mama's sorry." She had stolen a single food pack from a merchant stall. Just one. But on this planet, that was enough to bring punishment, maybe even death. Guards in heavy black armor pushed through the crowd. Electric rods crackled in their hands. They showed no mercy. The law was strict here. The poor had no rights. Kira turned a sharp corner into a dark alley. Her breath came in short gasps. She could feel the guards getting closer. Her legs burned. Her arms trembled. But she didn't stop. Then bam! She slipped on the wet ground and fell. Tareen rolled from her arms, landing in the mud. He whimpered, too weak to move. Kira scrambled to him, pulling him close. Her hands shook as the guard's footsteps echoed nearby. "Found her!" one guard shouted. Bright lights flashed in her face. 3 guards surrounded her. One grabbed her arm roughly. Another kicked the fallen food pack into the gutter. "Criminal scum," a guard hissed. "You'll pay for this." Kira tried to speak. "Please, punish me, not my son. He's just a child, please," one guard laughed. "He'll work off your crime in the pits. Kids his age don't last long there." "No," she screamed, hugging Tareen. "Take me. Hurt me if you must, but not him." The guards raised their rods. Then, a voice cut through the rain. "Stop." Everyone turned. A tall figure stood at the mouth of the alley. His coat flapped in the wind. Rain slid down the cold metal of his arm. He was partly cybernetic. But his eyes were human, sharp, cold, and watching. The guards lowered their rods slightly. One of them said, "This is not your concern, offworlder." The man stepped forward. "What was stolen?" "A food pack," the guard replied. "For a starving child?" the human said. "Hardly a crime." "The law says." "I know what your law says. Doesn't mean it's right." Kira looked up at the man, shaking. She had never seen a human this close. His face was hard like stone. But there was something in his eyes. Something different. The human walked closer and looked at the boy. Tareen coughed, his small body shaking in his mother's arms. The human knelt beside them. His voice softened. "What's your name?" Kira didn't answer. "I'm Captain Darren," he said. "I'm not here to hurt you." Kira finally whispered. "Kira, my name is Kira. This is my son, Tareen." The guards spoke again. "Move aside, human. We have orders." Captain Darren stood. He looked at the guards and said, "Then change your orders." The lead guard frowned. "You interfering with local law?" "No," Darren said. "I'm offering a solution." "She owes a debt for theft? I'll take responsibility." "What?" Kira gasped. The guards looked confused. "I'll take the punishment," Darren repeated. "Her and the boy, release them. They belong to me now." The guards looked at one. Another. One stepped forward. "You want to claim a criminal and her child, as what workers?" Darren nodded. "Exactly." The guards laughed. "Fine, but if they break the law again, you suffer with them." "I understand." Kira stared at him. "Why would you do this?" Darren looked down at her, his voice low. "Because no child should pay for a mother's hunger. And no mother should have to beg for mercy in the mud." He turned and started walking. "Get up, you're coming with me." Kira held Tareen close, still in shock. She slowly stood, her legs weak. She followed him into the rain, her heart full. of questions. She didn't trust him, not yet, but something about the way he looked at her, like she was still a person, not trash, gave her a strange feeling deep inside. Maybe, just maybe, this human was different, but she didn't know yet that he was hiding pain of his own, a dark past, a secret locked away in his home. And that her life was about to change forever. Asterisk. The courtroom was not made of walls and wood, it was made of cold metal, sharp lights, and silence. The kind of silence that made you feel smaller than you were. Kira stood in the middle of the round chamber, holding her son tightly. Her hands were still shaking. Tareen coughed into her shoulder, too weak to even lift his head. Around her, alien officials with stone-like faces sat high above, watching like birds waiting for a creature to die. There were no lawyers, no defenders, only judgment. A mechanical voice rang out. Kira, of District 9, charged with theft, disruption of public peace, and attempted escape. Kira opened her mouth. I only took one food pack. My son, he hasn't eaten in days. Silence, the machine barked. Your words do not change the law. Her heart dropped. She looked around, searching for the human Captain Darren. But he was gone. Was he just another liar? Another cold soul who walked away after saying sweet words? A tall judge stood. His robe dragged across the floor like a shadow. His eyes glowed blue. He raised one finger. According to Trade Law Code 114, a debt shall be repaid in service. The boy will serve in the labor pits until the value of the stolen goods is returned. No, Kira screamed. He's a child. Children work for half value, the judge said. He will serve 3 years. Kira fell to her knees, sobbing. Please take me instead. The guards grabbed her arms, lifting her to her feet. Tareen cried weakly, Mama. Then, the doors opened. Every head turned. Boots echoed through the chamber. Captain Darren walked in, slow and calm, as if he owned the place. His coat was soaked from rain. His cybernetic hand glowed softly at the wrist. His eyes scanned the court like he'd been here before. Hold the sentence, he said. The guards paused. The judge narrowed his eyes. You again. Darren didn't blink. I spoke earlier. I'm here to claim the woman and her child. This is not a market, the judge replied coldly. You don't claim criminals in my court. Darren stepped forward. She stole. Because she had no choice. You know it. I know it. Starvation isn't a crime. It's a failure of your system. The judge hissed. And what do you propose, human? Darren looked straight at him. Let them go. I'll pay the cost. I'll register her and the child under my care. I take full responsibility. Kira stared at him in shock. Why was he doing this? No one did things like this. No one helped without wanting something in return. Impossible, the judge said. This is not standard process. I don't care, Darren snapped. This court has the power to make exceptions. Use it. A long silence fell. The judge whispered to his advisors. Cold, alien words passed between them. Finally he stood again. Very well, Captain Darren. You are responsible for them. If they break the law again, your life will be forfeit. Darren nodded, understood. The guards released Kira. She collapsed, hugging her son. Darren walked to her slowly. You can stand now. You're safe. She looked up at him. Why? Why are you doing this? He didn't answer right away. He just looked at her son. He reminds me of someone I lost. Then he turned to leave. Kira hesitated. Then followed him, still holding Tareen close. The judge called after them. Human mercy is a weak choice. Darren didn't turn around. He just said one thing. No, mercy is strength most of you will never understand. The doors closed behind them, and Kira knew her life had just passed a door it could never return from. But what waited ahead? She wasn't ready for, because this human had secrets of his own. The rain had stopped, but the sky was still dark. Kira sat silently in the back of a strange black vehicle, holding her sleeping son. His face was pale, lips dry, breath shallow. She wrapped him in the human's cloak, though her heart was still. Filled with fear, Captain Darren sat in the front, saying nothing, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. The vehicle moved smoothly across the hills, away from the cold city and deeper into the wild countryside. Kira stared at him through the reflection. In the window, who was this man? Why would a human, one of the most feared species in the galaxy, risk his life for a poor alien woman and her sick child? It didn't make sense. She had been used before. Lead to, sold. She wouldn't fall for another trick. Not again. The vehicle finally stopped in front of a quiet house half buried in stone, surrounded by trees, hidden from the world. Darren stepped out first. He opened the back door and reached in. "I'll carry him," he said softly. Kira hesitated, but Tareen was too weak. She nodded and let him take her son. Darren carried Tareen like he was made of glass. Inside, the house was clean but cold. Simple furniture. A small fire lit the main room. Everything was quiet, too quiet. "Sit," Darren said. Kira stayed standing. Her eyes watched every corner of the house. Darren placed Tareen on a soft bed, then returned with a warm drink. He held it out. "For you." She didn't take it. "I don't drink gifts from men I don't trust," she said flatly. Darren looked at her. His eyes were tired. Not cruel, not cold. Just tired. "I didn't bring you here to trap you," he said. "I made a promise back there. I'll keep it." "Why?" she asked. "What do you want from me?" He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I lost my family in the war, my wife, my daughter." Kira looked at him, surprised. "I couldn't save them," Darren continued. "I was too late. I had weapons, power, but I didn't make it in time. Now all I have is regret." Kira's hands slowly lowered. "Your son reminded me of her. The way he held your hand, the fear in your eyes. I've seen it before. I failed once. I won't fail again." For the first time, Kira didn't feel threatened. Still, she stayed guarded. "What do you expect from me now?" she asked. "Nothing," he said. "You're not my servant. You're not a slave. Just stay here. Heal. Take care of your son." Kira narrowed her eyes. "And if I say no?" Darren shrugged. "Then I'll take you back." "But they won't." "Be kind next time." Kira looked down. Her son coughed in his sleep. She took the drink. "I'll stay," she said. "For him." Darren nodded once. "That's enough." She sat down, finally letting her body rest. But as the fire crackled and the night grew deeper, she noticed something. A door steel, locked, sealed tight. Hidden behind a wall panel, she pointed at it. "What's behind that door?" Darren's face turned serious. "Don't go near it," he said. "Ever." Kira didn't answer. She stared at the door, and somewhere deep inside her, a new fear was growing, because this human had saved her. But he had a secret, and secrets always have a price. Asterisk. The house was too quiet. Even the fire in the hearth crackled like it was whispering secrets. Kira sat near her sleeping son, watching the shadows move across the stone walls. Outside, wind blew through the trees, howling like lost spirits. She wasn't used to silence. She had grown up in noise markets, shouting, crying, sirens. Silence made her nervous. It meant something was waiting. Captain Darren had gone to the back room. He didn't say much since dinner. He simply gave Tareen warm food, checked his fever, then disappeared behind that steel door again. The same door he had warned her not to touch. But Kira's eyes kept returning to it. It was strange smooth. Metal, no handle, no lock. Just a soft red light blinking in the center. Why would someone need to lock a room in the middle of nowhere? Her son stirred. She leaned closer and gently touched his forehead. Still warm, but better than before. She stood up quietly and moved around the room. Everything was clean, organized, but empty of life. No photos, no decorations, no memories, except one thing. On the shelf near the window stood a small toy, an old, hand-carved bird with one broken wing. She touched it. A name was scratched under its base. Lena. Her eyes narrowed. Darren's daughter? Suddenly, loud thud. She jumped. Data came from behind the steel door. She held her breath. Then another thud, this time louder, and then a sound like crying. No, not crying, screaming. Kira single quotes as heart raced. She stepped back, her instincts screaming run. But where would she go? She turned toward Tareen. He was still sleeping. The sound behind the door stopped, then silence again. But now, the silence felt wrong, like something was listening. Just then, the door to the room opened. Darren stood there. His face was pale, his hand had blood on it. Kira froze. He didn't speak at first. His eyes locked on hers. Then he said quietly, "You heard it, didn't you?" She nodded slowly. He looked tired, more than tired, haunted. "You weren't supposed to," he said. Kira backed away. "What is in there?" Darren sat down, dropping heavily into the chair. His shoulders slumped. "I told you before. I failed. To save my family." "Yes," she whispered. "I didn't tell you that I tried to bring them back." Kira stared at him. He looked at the door. "Behind that door is my mistake." She wanted to ask more, but something in his voice stopped. Deep pain. A wound that hadn't healed. Darren wiped the blood from his hand. "I go in every night, to make sure it's still asleep." Kira's voice trembled. "What is it?" He looked at her with eyes that had seen too much. "My guilt." Silence again, this time. She didn't fear it. She understood. He wasn't just hiding a secret. He was living with it. And for the first time, she didn't see a monster. She saw a man trying to protect others from himself. Tareen coughed in his sleep. Kira moved to him, but she looked back once more at Darren, now slumped in his chair, staring into the fire like it might burn his memories away. Maybe she had been wrong. Maybe this human wasn't dangerous to her. Maybe he was dangerous to himself. Kira couldn't sleep. The fire had died, and the house was wrapped in darkness. Only a dim wall light glowed in the corner like a weak star. Tareen slept soundly, his breathing steady at last. But Kira lay still, staring at the steel door. The sounds. From behind it, that scream. She had heard pain before, but that was something else. Something unnatural. What was Darren hiding? He had saved her, fed her, protected her son. But that door, he guarded it like a dragon guarding treasure. Or a curse. She sat up quietly, careful not to wake Tareen. Her bare feet touched the cold floor. She stepped closer to the door. The blinking red light stared back at her, as if it were watching. She whispered, "What are you?" And the light turned green. Click. The door unlocked. Kira froze. She looked down the hallway. No sound from Darren's room. She hesitated, then slowly pushed the door open. It slid back with a soft hiss. Inside, darkness. Cold, heavy air flowed out like a breath that had been held for years. She stepped in. Lights blinked on one by one, as if waking from sleep. The room was large, sterile, and filled with machines. Screens, wires. In the center stood two stasis pods. She walked closer. One was cracked, empty. The inside was stained with dry blood. The second one was still active. Inside it floated a figure, a woman. Her skin was pale blue, her hair white and flowing like clouds underwater. Her face was peaceful, but strange scars marked her arms. Kira's breath caught in her throat. Beside the pod, another smaller one. A child, frozen, still, perfectly still. She read the label on the machine. Name: Lena. Status: failed revival. Attempt. #3. Kira covered her mouth. This was his family. His wife. His daughter. He tried to bring them back. And failed. Suddenly dash a soft voice behind her. I told you not to come in here. She turned. Darren stood at the doorway. His eyes were shadowed. His face blank. You opened it, he said. Kira didn't speak. She didn't run, she just looked at him. You tried to save them, she whispered. He nodded once. Every night. For 3 years. Why? He laughed softly, bitterly. Because I was a soldier. I survived. They didn't. That's not fair. He stepped closer. I rebuilt them. With memory, with tech. But something is wrong. They're not whole. Kira looked at the cracked pod. The other one escaped? Darren's jaw clenched. She woke too soon. She wasn't ready. She screamed, attacked, then collapsed. I couldn't fix her again. Silence. Then Kira asked, why keep them here? Why torture yourself like this? He stared at the pods. Because they were my heart, and I lost them. Now I protect what's left. Kira said nothing. She felt no fear, only sadness. He turned away from her. You shouldn't have seen this. But now you know. She looked at him. And finally said, you're not cruel, Darren. He blinked. You're broken. She reached out and gently touched his shoulder. And broken doesn't mean evil. He closed his eyes. A long silence passed between them. Finally, she stepped past him and left the room, closing the doors softly behind her. Back in the main room, she sat beside her son and pulled him into her arms. She now understood the truth. Captain Darren didn't save them out of pity. He saved them because they were his last chance to forgive himself. But the past never sleeps, and something inside that room still wanted to wake. The air changed that morning. It was quiet, but not peaceful. Even the wind outside the cabin had stopped, like the world was holding its breath. Kira stood near the window, holding a steaming cup in her hands. She watched the trees. They didn't move. No birds, no bugs. Just stillness. Behind her, Tareen played with the carved bird toy Darren had once kept. Hidden. His laughter was soft, but real. The first real sound of joy in weeks. She smiled for a moment. But then, she saw it. A flicker of movement in the woods. Shadows. Too many. Her heart dropped. Darren! She shouted. He rushed in from the back room, eyes sharp, already reaching for the weapon on the wall. One glance at her face, and he knew. They've found us. Kira looked at him. How? I don't know, he said quickly. Maybe the court wanted revenge. Maybe someone followed my ID trail. Doesn't matter. They're here now. She grabbed Tareen and pulled him close. What do we do? Darren looked at the boy. We fight. Outside, 6 black transport units landed quietly in the trees. Enforcers poured out fully armored, faces covered, rifles charged. These weren't local guards. These were hunters. One of them gave a signal. Alive, he said. We want the woman and child alive. Inside, Darren locked the doors. Go downstairs, he told Kira. There's a hidden room. Take Tareen. Don't come out unless I call for you. No, she said, her voice shaking but firm. I won't leave you alone. Darren looked at her, really looked. He saw something different in her now. She wasn't afraid of death anymore. She had faced worse. He handed her a small energy blade. Then stay close. The house shook as a blast hit the front door. Another came. Then silence. Then a voice outside. Give us the boy. Human. Or we take the whole house down. Kira stepped beside Darren. He whispered to her. They won't stop. I know, she said. Another blast hit. This time the door cracked open. Darren fired first clean, fast shots. 2 enforcers dropped. Then he moved like a storm, covering Kira and Tareen. Push in furniture for cover. Kira didn't freeze. She fought too. Fast and sharp. She was tired of running. She slashed at one enforcer, who tried to grab her son. Her blade glowing bright in her hand. Tareen screamed, but didn't run. Suddenly, something beeped behind the walls. A voice cold and deep spoke from the house itself. Threat detected. Family protocol initiated. Defense mode activated. Kira turned in shock. What is that? Darren grinned. My last line of defense. Panels in the walls opened. Drones flew out, old war machines Darren had hidden, powered by the same tech he used for the stasis pods. They moved fast and struck hard, disabling weapons, knocking back intruders, shielding the weak. The enforcers panicked. It's armed. Fall back. Too late. The house itself had come alive. Within minutes, the field was clear. Bodies lay still. Smoke rose. The silence returned, but this time it was safe. Kira collapsed to her knees, holding her son. Darren limped over, his side bleeding. She grabbed him. You're hurt, he smiled weakly. Not the first time. You saved us again, she said. He shook his head. You saved yourselves. I just built the walls. Tareen looked up at Darren. Are you my hero now? Darren's eyes softened. No, kid, your mom is. Kira's throat tightened. She looked at him. Why do you keep risking your life for us? Darren didn't answer right away. Then he said quietly, because once I couldn't protect the ones I loved. This time, I did. She took his hand, and for the first time, no words were needed, not between two broken souls who had finally stopped running. The smoke had cleared. The forest was quiet again this time. Truly quiet. Sunlight broke through the clouds for the first time in days, pouring golden light over the broken battlefield in front of the house. Inside, the fire was warm again. But this time, it wasn't just wood burning. It was peace. Darren sat on the floor near the hearth, his side bandaged, his face tired but calm. Across from him, Tareen laughed as he tried to balance the wooden bird on his tiny finger. The toy spun and fell, and the boy giggled. Kira watched them from the kitchen, stirring a small pot of soup. Her hands moved gently. Her heart, for once, didn't feel heavy. Not like before. Not like all those days of hunger, hiding, and fear. She poured 2 bowls, walked over, and handed one to Darren. He looked up, surprised. Didn't think I'd get the first bowl. You earned it, she said. He took it and smiled, a real smile. Not the forced ones he gave when hiding pain. Kira sat down beside Tareen, brushing his hair gently from his face. He's stronger now, she said. Darren nodded. He has your fight, she looked at him, and your shield. For a moment, silence settled between them, not awkward, not cold, but full of something new, something like trust. Darren leaned back, staring into the fire. They'll come again, he said softly. The court, the law, they won't forget. Kira nodded. Let them come. Darren turned to her. I'm not running anymore, she added. Darren smiled. Good. Because I'm tired of running too. Tareen crawled into Kira's lap. Mama, can we stay here forever? She looked down at him, then at Darren. For a second, she hesitated. Then she whispered, yes. He grinned. Even with the scary room? She laughed softly. Even that? Darren's face darkened a little. I need to shut it down. The stasis pods, the machines. It's time I let them go. Kira looked at him, surprised. He looked back. You showed me something. That family isn't in a pod. It's right here, right now. She touched his hand. Are you sure? He nodded. They'll always be with me. But I can't keep living with ghosts. Not when I have people who are alive and need me now. Tareen looked up. Will you be my dad now? Darren blinked. He wasn't expecting that. Kira held her breath. Then Darren said quietly, if your mom agrees. Kira didn't speak right away, but her answer came with action. She took his hand. Not out of duty, but out of choice. Out of something new. Not survival. But belonging. 1 month later. The house looked different. Laughter echoed from the back porch. Tareen ran across the yard, chasing a small repair drone Darren had reprogrammed to play tag. Inside, The toy bird now sat beside two new carvings, one of a mother and one of a soldier. Kira stepped out, wiping her hands on a towel. Dinner's ready. Darren walked over, scooped up Tareen, and spun him in the air. The boy shrieked with joy. I caught the drone. Tareen yelled. Darren grinned. You're faster than me now. As they stepped inside, Kira watched them both. She had begged once, in the mud and rain, punish me, not my son. But she didn't know then that the human who answered her cry didn't come to punish. He came to love. And now? They weren't broken anymore. They were whole. They were family.